Hello, welcome back. We're continuing on with our Strategies Bible Study, and we've started a new series of false images. Your future is not cast in stone. When we began to study this series, we looked in Genesis at the image that we were created in, God's own image, and that we were declared good, very good, even excellent. And we also discovered that as sin entered into the world and as sin enters into our lives, that we can lose our identity, lose that beautiful image. Our self-image can become, in fact, a false image. We looked at two women, Rachel and Ruth, and we looked at the fact that they had a choice, and that section was called Choices. What's a girl to do? This next section is by far the most eye-opening, exciting part of this study to me. When I began to read this, I was so amazed that I did not know a lot about these two women. You know, sometimes you think, well, I've studied and I've studied and I've studied. I should kind of have a vague recalling of all these different characters, even if I can't remember every detail. But this was brand new to me, and God just opened my eyes. That's the exciting thing about the Word of God. It's living. And right when you think that you've pretty much heard all the Bible stories, God will show you something new. We're going to turn, and our text is going to be in 2 Kings chapter 11, if you want to note that down, and we'll turn there in a few moments. But I want to tell you a few things before we get there. 2 Kings chapter 11 tells the story of two women who made a tremendous impact in the nation of Judah. There had been, just to give you a little background, for years and years, well, after Abraham and, well, let me even go forward. After Moses had led the children out, and then Joshua and Caleb had gone into leadership, and there were other leaders and other people they could look to, and they were there in the promised land. And when their leaders died, then a very scary thing happened, and it says in 2 Kings that there was no king, and therefore every man did what was right in his own eyes. Terrifying. When you get into a state where nobody's held accountable and there's no definitive laws of right and wrong, sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? You're in trouble. A nation is in trouble. And so that's what had happened. And so God had raised up judges. And that's where we see some of the exciting judges like Deborah, which we'll probably do in our next filming segments or series, whatever we're calling them. And she was one of the judges. And then after a period of time, then the people began to cry out for a king. They wanted a king. And so God finally said, okay, give them what they want. And so he gave them kings, and he found that Saul was the first king, then David, then Solomon. And then after that, there was a period of time when there was a rebellion, and then Israel was split. And so you had your northern kingdom and your southern kingdom. And then in the 1st and 2nd Kings in the Bible, they record the stories of these kings from the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. The northern kingdom never had one good king. Never. Now the southern kingdom, every once in a while, would have a good king. Just every once in a while. So eventually then, both parts of Israel were taken into captivity. First the northern kingdom, and then about 100 years later the southern kingdom. So I just kind of gave you that brief Oh, and then it was after that, and during that period of captivity, that we just studied with Nehemiah. And you remember Nehemiah wanted to go back and rebuild the walls. That was during this time or after this time of exile and captivity. So anyway, there was a very evil king in the northern kingdom, probably one of the most evil. His name was Ahab, and he married Jezebel. I probably don't have to even explain to you who she was. This was one wicked woman. Do you know that she is the very person that introduced idol worship into Israel? Her favorite deity with a little d was Baal. And some really exciting stories about what happened when she was challenged by God's prophets to see who is the real God. That's a great story. We don't have time for that now, but you would like it to read about Jezebel. She was going to come to a just end too. Well, she had a daughter, and her name was Athaliah. And Athaliah is not very commonly known. But let me tell you something. She was doing her mama proud. She was just as evil. She may have even been more evil than Jezebel. Well, there was a period of time when the northern kingdoms were going to try to make an alliance with the southern kingdoms. And so they gave their daughter, Athaliah, to the king of Judah to try to merge and to try to make peace and have a pact. Athaliah's husband did not reign long, and he was an evil king. And their son was on the throne, and his name was Ahaziah. I can't go into all the details of what happened, but it is phenomenal. Lord of the Rings has nothing on this story of all the things that happened, and it's just, you really should read it for yourself to give the Bible a chance. It is amazing, and this is not someone's imagination. This is truth, and there's always a message in there for you from God if you'll have your heart open to it. So her son is on the throne, and that makes her the queen mother, the evil queen mother. And she had the ear of her son, and she had a lot of influence. She still had her position of power and authority. She was very good at manipulation, just like her mother before her. Go back and read about what happened when Jezebel found Ahab crying over a field that he wanted and the man wouldn't sell her. Go and read what happened then, and you'll see just what kind of people they were. So Athaliah is the queen mother, and then her son is killed. This means not that she, for us it would be, oh, my child has died. All she could think about was what she was going to lose, which was her position of influence. Naturally, one of her grandchildren or one of Ahaziah's children would be placed on the throne. But she would have none of that. In 2 Kings chapter 11, we're about to read about not an evil stepmother, not just an evil queen mother, but a tremendously, extravagantly evil grandmother. See you next time.